Thank you, General. I'm going to turn it over to Ranking Member Senator Cotton for his questions first. And I'll be back.
But I'll be in charge until then.
You got the controls.
General Moore, with the Air Force being plagued by underfunding, shrinking inventories, and aging aircraft, can you explain a little bit how the situation has impacted your ability to focus on both modernization and also the current requirements to fight tonight?
Yes, Senator, as you rightly point out, there is certainly a balance between current risk and future risk. And we have endeavored to balance what needs to be done to provide a modern force, as well as what it takes to remain ready today. We have received over the last several budget cycles great support from this committee and others to move past the kinds of legacy force structure that aren't supporting our current operations needs. It isn't just the dollars that are freed up by moving away from legacy platforms. One must divest an entire squadron of F-16s to buy a single F-35 or an entire squadron of KC-135s to buy a single KC-46. It isn't an issue of economics. Every bit as important as the dollars is the manpower that's involved in maintaining and flying legacy force structure. And we need to transition that to, as you mentioned in your opening statement, the force structure that you see in procurement in this FYDP. There will be some manageable risk to near-term ability for capacity, we'll say, but there is no zero-risk solution. There's no way to make any kind of transition without taking risk. We have to balance near-term risk and future risk, and we think we've done that in our budget submission.
General Hinote, would you like to speak to that question? I saw you nodding vigorously at a few occasions.
Yes, sir. Ranking Member Cotton, thanks for the question. One of the things I think I can say about this budget that makes me feel more confident than ever is I think we've actually started to move the big money to the future. And I would have told you before, I felt like we had not been able to do that for lots of different reasons. So I think you're seeing quite a big change in the 24 budget going toward the future capabilities. And that has me thinking we got that balance much more correct.
Okay. General Schleif, I did not see you nodding vigorously, but also didn't see you rolling your eyes or expressing any other opinion. Would you like to express one verbally?
Well, Senator, thank you. What I would offer, I spend the bulk of my days working these current operations issues, and the demand from the combatant commands is insatiable. They all want more Air Force. But the problem is that unless we can articulate the risk and capacity of our Air Force to the Joint Force, we will always, as General Hinote said, privilege present risk at the expense of future risk. I'm excited about the progress we've made in our service force generation model, which is allowing us to articulate risk and capacity a little better, which in turn preserves the force's readiness so that as we modernize, we have the force as ready as possible for today.
All right. And Mr. Hunter, anything to add, batting cleanup?
Yeah, I agree with my colleagues, and I would say I think the key enabler for us in the Department of the Air Force in arriving at what I think was a balanced solution, a way to balance that risk, was the fact that it was done as an enterprise, that we had all of the various aspects of the operational community and the major combatant commands with the chief and with the secretary and with the secretariat and with the acquisition, the expertise that all these elements bring, including my own acquisition organization, to bear on saying what is the reasonable risk we can take in current ops, what is a reasonable program we can put forward to buy down future risk that we can resource and that's realistic, and drive at a solution that everyone could sign up to.
All right. Thank you all. I know that you've done the best you can under very difficult circumstances, but I think the Air Force requires close attention by the committee this year in the defense bill. I want to dig a little bit further now in my time left and in the next rounds on some of these programs. The Air Force has stated that collaborative combat aircraft, also referred to as CCA, are a key component of future force design to counterbalance the rising costs of new fighter aircraft, allowing the department to procure a large fleet at a lower cost, unmanned wingmen to offset our adversaries' growing arsenals, and increase survivability of manned tactical fighter fleets. It's been explained that these unmanned systems will be controlled by manned aircraft. I'd like to know if the department is coordinating the required mechanisms for that control across the manned aircraft fleet, and what's the status of that coordination? Mr. Hunter, would you like to start?
Yeah, we are working very closely with Air Combat Command, the Major Command, as we formulate our acquisition strategy for the CCA, and of course the requirements that ACC sponsors, that General Hinote validates for the Air Force. So critical to that is looking at what aircraft it will interoperate with and how we achieve that interoperability and that ability to share, C2. A lot of analysis has been done on that. We think we have a good process for how that should work. There is work to be done in making and demonstrating how it actually will work. And so we have this operational experimentation unit that's been established where we will work closely with the Australians who have a flyable platform that they are using today. It's not quite exactly would necessarily meet our requirements, but it is a very good proxy that we can use to develop the ConOps for that. But General Hinote could probably speak more to exactly how that's going to work.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thanks for the question. Sir, you're right in that CCAs will allow us to do something that is fundamentally different. We're going to be able to manipulate risk and impose cost, especially in some sort of great power competition and conflict. What I can tell you is that a lot of analysis has been done, but we are still learning and will continue to learn. So where I think we are today is we have a good plan and we have a good opportunity for the operators and the acquisition professionals to be able to work together to figure out what it looks like when manned-unmanned teaming becomes real. That is something that has not been totally figured out yet, and that's why I'm really happy about this operational experimentation unit that can take what we've learned so far and push it into the future with our tacticians.
Thank you. Up next, Senator Peters.
Thank you, Senator Cotton. General Moore, the vast distances that our forces need to operate over the Indo-PACOM AOR, I think